Hello. This week is Mother's Day, and the church commemorates a number of women of faith. Today, let's just highlight a few who we commemorate right around this time of year. Helena lived in the early 300s. Her son Constantine was the first Roman emperor to become a Christian, and he legalized Christianity. Helena also became a Christian. From that point, she lived an exemplary life of faith, particularly through acts of generosity towards the poor. She also traveled in Palestine and built churches on sites where she believed Jesus had been born, where she believed he had been buried, and where he ascended into heaven. Monica lived in the late 300s. Her son Augustine became a great theologian of the early church, and his writings have been a base for Christian theology for 1,500 years. But he really stood on the shoulders of his mother, Monica. Monica was married to a pagan husband who was ill-tempered and unfaithful to her, but she stayed faithful to him and rejoiced when both her husband and her mother-in-law became Christians. Monica was a student of Ambrose, also a theologian, and eventually her son came under Ambrose's influence. Monica died far from her home, but when she was sick, she wrote to her son, "Don't fret because I am buried far from our home in Africa. Nothing is far from God, and I have no fear that God will not know where to find me when Christ comes to raise me to life at the end of the world." Catherine of Siena, theologian, died in 1380. Catherine was a member of the Order of Preachers, and among Roman Catholics, she was the first woman to receive the title of Doctor of the Church. She was a contemplative and is known for her mystical visions of Jesus. Catherine had visions early on, much to the dismay of her parents, who wanted her to be just like all the other children. Catherine was a humanitarian and worked to alleviate the suffering of the poor and imprisoned. She also advised popes and common people, anyone who would tell her their problems. Catherine's contemplative life was linked to her concern for the poor and suffering, and she is a reminder that prayer and action belong together. We commemorate these women to encourage all of us in their faith. Who are the women of faith in your life that have helped you? Who are the women of faith that have deepened your faith life? Perhaps a mom, an aunt, a teacher, a coworker, a neighbor, a coach, a friend. This week is an opportunity to say a prayer of thanks for those faithful women. And if you're able, give your thanks to them with a call or a letter. If you can't do that in person, maybe take time to tell someone else a story of how their life of faith made an impact on you. God be with you today and always.